Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're going to tackle three of the tiniest words in the English language that cause the biggest headaches: a, an, and the. They seem so simple, but getting them right is a total game changer for sounding natural.
You know that moment when you pause, thinking, wait, is it a European or an European? Or maybe you've wondered why it's the USA, but just France. Yeah, don't worry, you are not alone. It's super common, so today we're going to put that puzzle to rest for good.
All right, so let's get right into it using this grammar guide as our map. And, the first thing you'll notice is that the rules, they're not nearly as scary as they look. It all boils down to just two main families. That's it, which makes things way, way simpler. Okay, but what even is an article? Well, it's just a tiny word that hangs out before a noun, and its whole job is to signal if we're talking about something general or something really specific. That's it. That's the whole gig. So let's meet these two families.
Okay, first up, we've got what I like to call the generalists, the indefinite articles a and an. Just think of these as the words you use when you aren't talking about one specific thing, but just any old one from a group.
Right, so the key thing to get here is that a and an are kind of like general pointing fingers. So if I say, hey, I need a pen, it means any pen will work. It's not a specific one that we've talked about before. Pretty simple, right? But how do you know when to use a and when to use an?
And here it is, maybe the most important rule of all. It is all about the sound. Seriously, forget how the word is spelled. Just listen to the very first sound it makes. You use a before a consonant sound and an before a vowel sound. Let's check out some examples where this gets a little tricky. Okay, this slide just nails the point perfectly. Book starts with that b sound, a consonant, so a book, easy. But then you get to European. And yeah, it starts with the letter E, which is a vowel. But listen to the sound, European. That y sound is a consonant sound. That's why it's a European. And the exact same logic works for an honest man and an hour. The H is silent, so the first sound you actually hear is a vowel. See what I mean? It's all about what you hear, not what you see. All right, let's move on to our second category. This is the specialist, the. This is what we call the definite article, and well, the name kind of gives it away. Its job is to be super, super specific.
So if a and an are those general pointing fingers, then the is like a laser pointer. It's precise. It zeroes in on one and only one particular thing. When you say the, you're basically telling the other person, hey, you and I both know exactly which one I mean. For instance, I saw the movie means we both know which movie I'm talking about. So how do you know for sure? Well, just run through this quick mental checklist. First, am I talking about a very specific, particular one? Second, have we already mentioned this thing before? And third, is it literally one of a kind? Like the sun or the moon. If you get a yes to any of those, chances are you need to use the.
And of course, there are some clear-cut, hard and fast rules. We always use the for big geographical things like rivers, oceans, and deserts. It's also for unique things like the sun. And this last one's really interesting. It's for countries that have words like states or kingdom in their name. That little word the is a signal that the name is actually a description, not just a plain old name. Okay, so you've got the generalists, a and an, and the specialist, the. But what about those times when the right answer is nothing at all? Yep, this is what we call the zero article. And honestly, knowing when not to use an article is just as important. So, let's look at the main no article zones. For example, you'd never say, I speak the English, right? Or I went to lunch with the Mohan. No, you just say English and Mohan. It's the same for most countries, for meals when you're talking generally, and for uncountable stuff like gold or water when you're not being specific. All right, time for a little pop quiz. Let's apply what we've just learned. Based on those rules, why on earth do we say the USA, but we don't say the France? The clue is hiding right in the name itself. That's it, exactly. It's because the name, the United States of America, has that word states right in it. That puts it in that special descriptive bucket. But France, that's just a name. It's not a description. So no article needed, see? It makes sense. Okay, let's do one more. This one's a little trickier. Both of these sentences are about dinner, but one has the and one doesn't. So what's really going on here? What's the difference in meaning?
And this is such a great example. When you ask, what did you have for dinner, You're just asking a general question about that evening meal. But if you ask, how was the dinner? Now you're talking about a specific particular dinner event, one that both you and the other person already know about. Maybe it was that big party last night. That tiny word, the, carries all that meaning, that layer of shared specific knowledge.
Okay, so we've gone through all of that. What's the big takeaway here? If you're going to remember just one thing from all this, what should it be?
It really just boils down to this. Are you talking about any old thing, in which case you'll use a or an? Or are you talking about one specific thing, where you'll use the? Honestly, if you can answer that simple question, you'll get it right probably 90% of the time. It's that simple.
And there you go. One of the most confusing little corners of English grammar, all unpacked. It just goes to show you, right? These tiny little words, they pack a huge punch when it comes to meaning. So now that you've got this down, the only real question is, what's the next tiny but tricky part of English you're ready to take on?